Hi everybody, this is Judy from Judy M Art Studio, and today I am going to show you how to make these beautiful containers for succulents. I'm going to tip it up on its side so you can see. These are really fun to do. This is one that I have completed and I have sealed, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to talk all about how to seal these to keep them so they don't fade and to keep them somewhat waterproof. But this is gorgeous, and you can see I put some African daisies in this one. Cool thing about these is they come with these little bamboo plates underneath them, and so when you water them you have drainage, which is really good for succulents or African daisies. And if you look on the bottom, there's that little hole where the water comes out and it will pool here, but because these are bamboo they don't warp, and so they're kind of self-watering. So I'm going to show you a few examples, and then I'm going to show you the process that I go through to do this. And then I'm going to finish this out by showing you how to seal these. So let's look at a couple of them. First of all, there are two different types of containers that I buy on Amazon. Both of the links are going to be below if you look. The first one are these 3-inch, they're just round cylindrical containers, and this one has not been cleaned up on the inside yet. You can clean them up by using alcohol, and I'll show you how to do this. But this is blues and greens, and again it comes with the base. This is about a 3-inch container, so if it's larger flowers, larger succulents. And then you have these smaller containers, and this is the size of the smaller one. This is one that's not done yet. And these are about 2 inches, and they've got the little lip on them, and I can't decide which one I like better. They both are very, very cool. So let me just show you some examples. You're going to want to choose your favorite colors. Here's one that's reds and oranges. If I can get it so the glare is not. There we go. This one is still in the process of drying. You can see I still have the tape on the inside. And here's some reds, oranges, and pinks. Looks kind of like a sunrise. And gold. I use Pinata brass. I think one of these has rich gold on them. They look pretty much the same. This is one that I use some really cool techniques with my alcohol dropper. I just poured little dabs of alcohol on it, and it repelled the ink and made those cool little dots. So you can do all kinds of things with these. If you like to experiment and try new techniques and new things, this is a great way to do that. This one is simply raspberry and black with the gold. And you can see that it came out almost a magenta color, and the black mixed in for almost a purplish color. And then this one I used silver on it. And you can see it doesn't have the sparkly effect that the Pinata brass does, but it is cool. It created some, love right in here, these really cool cells that it made. So it all depends on what you like, what your taste is, what your style is. There are all kinds of things you can do. I encourage you to play with your inks and play with these surfaces. The good thing about this surface is that if you don't like what you've done, you simply spritz it down and rub it off with alcohol, and you can wipe it right back to white, and you can start again. So these are awfully fun to play with. And so now I'm going to get started. I'm going to show you how I do one. The first thing you need to do is you need to I use 91% alcohol, and I just wipe the surface down to make sure that there are no oils on it or fingerprints. I've already done this one. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put some painter's tape in the center. Now I do this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I don't like to clean out a lot of ink in the center. It's sort of a pain. By using this technique, it's not going to guarantee that I don't have to clean out paint, but it's going to guarantee that I don't have to clean out a lot of paint. So I'd simply put it on the sides like this. And what I do is I kind of fold it in half so I have a little bit of a crease so it fits in better. And then I just go around the edges like that. And I do keep it sticking up like this. I tried folding it down the first time I did it, but I like it because I can put my hand in it like this, And when I'm actually working with the inks, I can spin it and turn it. And I put my hand on the bottom and put my hand in here, and I don't have to actually touch the surface at all. And it sort of gives me like a little place, a little sticky place that I can hold on to. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take some blending solution, and you're going to want to coat the outside of it with a small, just a thin layer. Now, the reason why I do this is because it makes it a little bit tacky, a little bit sticky, and the inks stick better to the surface when I do this. So you're simply going to take your solution and you're going to do a thin layer all the way across, like this, going down. And then I use my air and I blow it around. Let's see if I can do this in front of the camera so you can see it. I don't know if you can see how I'm blowing it, but you want to make sure you get under the lip, all along the center. I'll pull it over this way a little bit more. So you can see my chin, I'm just barely blowing on it. Make sure you get it all the way around. You can use an air compressor if you want to. I've got my air gun here that you can also use to dry it out. It's okay. You kind of want it dry, so it's tacky. I can see that I've missed a little in the center here, so I'll put a little more on in here. And I can see that just because of the glare. It's dull where I don't have any, and it gets shiny where I do have it. So you might not be able to see that on camera. I have found that if I don't have it on every surface, when I go to put the inks on, I get spaces where the inks don't want to flow. That looks good. And it's no big deal because you can still sort of force it into those places, but it makes it much easier. The next thing you're going to do is pick out your color palette. I picked up my favorite colors for this demo. I'll be honest, I stay away from usually like the warm colors, and I'm attracted to the jewel tones personally. But I've made some in both, and they both are stunning. They're equally as beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my flamingo pink. And again, all these links are down below. And I'm simply going to, this is my lightest color that I'm working with. I'm working with some really bold colors today. I'm simply going to start from the top and just go around and blow. All the way around that little ridge. And then I like to go all the way to the top, so I'm going to just do another layer, working from the top down. Again, blowing it right out. I'm going to go back and touch this up with a paintbrush at the very end, so don't worry if you don't get every single spot. I'm just going to do that. All right, so that's what it looks like. So we've gone all the way around. Don't worry about these. These are going to actually make really cool patterns. I like to uncap all of my inks when I'm working, so I can just grab colors, because this process can go fairly quickly once you get started. So I'm using, as I said, flamingo, peach bellini, indigo, wild plum, mermaid, raspberry, and then pinata brass. And my pinata brass I've got in this tiny little pin nose bottle, and I like it because I can just put a drop at a time. You don't need much at all on these when you're working with the brass. So I think the next color I'm going to do is the peach bellini, to give a little bit of yellow here, which is also probably going to turn it into an orange, I'm guessing. It's sort of a pinkish, yellowish, pretty color. I think next I'm going to go with my mermaid. And wild plum. I'm gonna make this one a little more like a wave. And then my raspberry. And I try to go and fill those little dots in that I'm seeing. See, there's one right there I missed. And then my favorite color, you don't need much of this, is the indigo. And I think I'm going to start just a little bit on the bottom. And then I'm going to do a little bit right up here, right around the edge. Again, I'm just barely touching the tip to the jar. Okay. Now I can already see that it's a little bit dark. I've got some darker spaces, so I can go back in with my alcohol and just blow to try to lighten it up. And I can sort of dab it off here. And sometimes I'll even take a paper towel and just where it's black almost because there's so much ink, I just dab it and then I go back in with colors that I like. And again, there's no rhyme or reason to this. You just keep playing until you get a product that you absolutely like. So you can see sort of what it's doing, which is kind of a cool effect too, that marbling. It's a little bit black there, so I'm going to thin that out a little. I wasn't happy with it, but that's okay. A little bit too much ink. It got a little bit away from me. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back in because this peach Bellini got a little bit lost. Where it's a little bit orange in color, orange and purple make, who knows, brown. But I love the pop of yellow that it gives, so I'm gonna try to put it again up here. There we go. And then pair it a little bit more with my mermaid to protect it a little. There we go. Ah, so pretty. There, like that. With that flamingo. Oh, got a little flamingo there. So why don't we do a strip right there then? Okay. There. There. I kind of like that. You see all the marbling. There is some sort of black in there, but that's okay. Look at the colors in there. How cool is that? I think I'll put a little bit of mermaid in here. So now I'm going to let this dry, and when I come back, we're going to put some piñata brass on it. All right, we're back. So this is dried for a couple of minutes, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to put a little bit of piñata brass on this, and I'm going to hopefully get this so it will go right into the veins of the ink. You can see the ink is sort of naturally veined up. And the way you do this is you start from the top down. You just put a drop on. Make sure you shake it really well. And then I put a drop of 91% alcohol in that. And then you just sort of let gravity flow with it. Or you use your air to help. If it's thick, if it doesn't seem to be veining, put a little more alcohol in it. I don't know if you can see already, if there's, trying to get it so the glare isn't in there, but you can see it's already veining up. The top half is veined up nicely. So I'm going to start right here and try to get the bottom half to do the same. Again, a tiny little drop, a little bit of alcohol right in the center, and then use your air. There. Just turning it so you can see it. I put a little more, I think right here, I'd love a little more veining in there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up a little, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to seal these. So usually I'd let this dry with the tape in it before I do this section, but I'm going to show you right now how I would clean this up. So I would remove the tape. And I don't know if you can see inside there, but there really was not a lot of paint down inside. Tiny little bit. So I'm going to take a clean cloth, and first thing you want to do is, if you don't wear gloves, and I don't wear gloves, I know I should, but it drives me crazy. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to clean your hands off so you have nice clean hands. So I'm going to do that with a little alcohol, and I will be right back, and I'll show you how to clean up the inside. All right, so we're back, and I am going to show you how to clean up your pot and do some finishing touches before you seal it. So what I do is I take my 91% alcohol and I put a tiny, tiny drop on the tip of the paper towel. And you don't want much at all. You just want a tiny little bit. And I don't know if you can see, I'm going right around. And you want to turn it frequently, because once the ink comes off, you don't want to put it back on. So turn it to another clean side. And same thing here. Just go right around, clean up that tip, look inside. A little purple in there I need to get rid of. There. All right, so for the sake of time, I would spend a little more time cleaning up a little bit better, but for the sake of time, that's pretty much how you do it. I'm now going to tip it over. If you can see, if you don't mind this on the bottom, go ahead and keep it, but here's the problem. If you don't seal the bottom completely, then the water would possibly get in there and it would make a mess on your containers. So I just use this, put the 90% alcohol, put this in there, and then I use a paper towel, and I just clean up the best I can. Again, this one isn't super dry. I like to let them dry before I do this. But just for the sake of this demo, I'm going to show you. Again, the more you do this, the cleaner it gets. Try not to get alcohol on your fingers, though, because if you go then to grab it, you're going to pull off the ink. All right. That's pretty good. Again, for sake of time, I'm not going to do that today, but I would show you. I would completely get this off if I were, before I sell this or before I give it to a friend as a gift. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to do is the sealing. This is the million-dollar question. How do you seal these? So they're waterproof, so they're light fast. Little lesson on alcohol ink, if you have not heard this. First of all, as you know, it's alcohol-based. If you try to put any spray on it, I've found, other than this right here, Krylon Kmart, then what happens is your inks start to separate and repel. The other products I'm using have chemicals in them that will react with alcohol. You do not want that. You do not want to ruin the beautiful work that you just did. So when I go to seal, you have to go out into a ventilated area, well ventilated. Use a mask if you have one. If you don't, just make sure you have, like, you're in a garage or you're outside. We live in Maine, so it's freezing, freezing cold. So I look for nice days, but even then I'll put on like a heater in my garage to warm it up enough so I can do this. I found that if it's down below 50 degrees, which it often is here, these come out in globs and the chemicals will still react with this. So make sure it's warm. Anything, I think it says something like above 65 on it. 55 to 75. I think you want to be above 60 actually. Well ventilated area. So what you're going to do is you're going to do this one first. This is the Kmart varnish. This sets your inks so they won't run. Super, super important step. So you shake it up really well. And then I do 3 coats. I do a coat, and the way I do it is I would do it like this first. Let it dry. Like this second. Let it dry from all sides. And then I would hold it in my hand to make sure I have it. I know this seems really redundant, but I do this 3 times. So the first time, just to make sure I have everything, and then I do the other 2 times to make sure I got every single spot on this baby. Next step is the UV resistant. Now, these are not light fast. These inks are sort of like old photo paper. If you've ever seen an old photograph that's been in the sun, how it dies out, that will happen to these. And trust me, it will. Especially on ceramic. I haven't found it as much on my canvases or on my other surfaces, but anything ceramic, it will fade, and it will fade fast. For example, for Christmas, I had a couple of ornaments I didn't sell at art shows that I was doing around that time. I was like, oh, I'll just put them on the tree. I hadn't sealed them yet to go to shows because I had an abundance of them. And so I had 2 or 3 of them that were really pretty. I was like, oh, I haven't sealed them, but I'm just going to throw them up on my tree. They were literally up on my tree for 3 weeks, and I can't use them. I'm going to have to wipe them down and start again because they faded so much. Because silly me, they were all my own ones. I, just put them up there for second color, and they did fade. So make sure that you use, then again, same technique, 3 coats of the UV resistant. And I usually wait about 30 minutes between each coat for these to dry. So this is a couple of day process. And then the last one that I use, again, is triple thick crystal clear glaze. And this seals everything. And again, it gives it a little bit of a shimmery feeling shine. You don't really need it so much on these, but I like to just make sure everything is sealed in and it's waterproof. When you do give these as gifts, or if you do decide to sell them, make sure the people that get them know that these are not like dishwasher safe. You need to, when you wash them, just gentle soapy water, lukewarm water, nothing hot, will get the dirt off. But just be very gentle with them because you do not want to scrape the inks off. But by doing these 3 different sealers, they should be pretty good, especially this one at the very end. Should sort of lock everything down and give you a pretty little succulent pot. So I hope you enjoyed this demo. If you did, please like and subscribe to my station. I'm going to be putting out more content. I put out content every week. And comment also. I'd love to hear how, and show me pictures of how yours came out. So enjoy your day and have a creative day.